Hey, what's going on, guys? I hope you guys are having a good day. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School. And I'm going to give you guys a second to come into the conversation, into the chat, because we have a very special discussion today, a very special conversation, a very special guest, and a very special opportunity to really talk about something that I know a lot of you have been curious about. A lot of you have always wanted to know how to do this. And I think this is a great chance for you to have that discussion, to sit in on something that might give you information that might change your life. First of all, let me welcome my guest for today. His name is Mr. Al Duncan. And and my other special guest, who is going to come in and help out with the interview. And we're going to talk about becoming a professional speaker. A lot of you have blown up my inbox and asked me a million questions about how to get speaking engagements, how to become a speaker, how to make money as a speaker, things like that. And so actually in the Black Business School, we actually have platforms based on what it takes to become a speaker and ways to make money. It's a great way to make money if you can make it work for yourself. I mean, it's really an excellent way to not just get your name out there, but to actually get your numbers up in your bank account, develop other streams of income, things like that. And so anyway, before I begin, I would like to ask my brother Al, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, man. Doing real good. You know, like I like to mess with people when we're talking about the speaking industry. I say I'm doing good. I'm getting gigs, I'm changing lives, and I'm cashing checks.
There you go. It doesn't get no better than that, man.
We doing good.
Hey, bro, let me tell you, I figured out the secret to the secret to about 80% of happiness. I figured it out because I used to try to sit around and process, like, what does it really mean to be happy? What does it mean to have a good life? Does it mean that you're rich? No, that ain't it. Does it mean that you know that you have the job you want, or that you don't have to go to work? Does it mean, like, what does it really mean? And I figured out, I remember reading somewhere that about 80-90% of your life, maybe more, is defined by three categories: health, wealth, and relationships. Right? And I thought about it. I said, well, think about it. When you ask somebody, man, how you been, man? It's good to see you again. What do? They start telling you, if they got a new job or something, they'll be like, yeah, I just started working over at the plant. Or they say, what you been doing, man? Oh, nothing, just working, right? So they're working a lot. So if they hate their job, there's a good chance they hate their life. Or if they just started dating somebody or had kids or got married, so they'll be like, yeah, I'm going to get married next year. Oh, congratulations, right? Or God forbid, if they have a health issue, right?
Yeah.
So like they got surgery or something, they'll be like, yeah, I had to get surgery, the heart surgery or whatever, right? Or if they lost a lot of weight, what's right? You're like, oh, you lost so much weight, you look so good, right? And I realized that the majority of what we talk about in terms of quality of life is health, wealth, and relationships. So when I asked you how you were doing today, and you were talking about cashing checks and doing what you love and all of that, to me, that's telling me that, one, your mental health is good because you love what you're doing, and then two, your bank account ain't hurting, right? So
that's right.
That's a big chunk of quality of life, man. But anyway, okay. So let's get started on this conversation, because I know a lot of questions and things like that. I see a lot of my friends in here, Regina and Dee Dee and Daryl and Cleo Monago. The real good brother, and a lot of really smart people. I know Cleo has done a ton of speeches, and so have some of the other people that are in the chat.
Nice.
So how about this? Taylor came in, and because I'm always preaching about preparing the kids for the next generation, stuff like that. She came in and wanted to be a part of our interview. She did not know what we were about to do, but when I told her I was about to interview, she said she wanted to help. So
nice.
Who am I to say no to a child that wants to better herself and jump in to a grown folks conversation about wealth? So Taylor will get to ask the first question. Taylor, what question would you like to ask Mr. Duncan, the professional speaker? Any question in particular?
How would you feel when you're about to go on stage?
That's a good question. You know what's funny? You're not. It's so funny. So many professionals ask me the same question also. So how do I feel when I'm about to go on stage? Nowadays, I feel excited. I feel very privileged and honored because somebody's going to sit there and take time to listen to me. So I don't take that lightly, because I have an opportunity, hopefully, to say something that may help them, help themselves, or help someone else that they care about. So that's very important to me. And I'm feeling good when I'm getting ready to go on stage. And the one thing that's surprising, Taylor, is that, and you and I were just talking about this a minute ago, sometimes in class, you have to give a presentation, right? up in front of the students. Okay. And everybody gets a little nervous, just so you know. It doesn't matter if you've been a professional and you've been doing it for 20 years. I've been doing this for about 18 years now. Or if you're brand new, right? What happens is most of us still feel a little bit of nervousness. It's just that professional speakers have been doing it for so long that we learn how to channel that nervousness and really capitalize on it so that we can be exciting and have fun and not, put you to sleep in class like boring teachers do. It makes sense?
I love that. That was an excellent question, Jay.
It sure was.
I had no idea what the question was going to be. I didn't know
either
about, milk and cookies or, SpongeBob, but she asked a great question.
Yep.
And that was a question even inspired some thoughts in me in the sense of like, that nervousness. One thing I noticed is that no matter how much speaking you've done, the nervousness never goes away.
It doesn't.
It's like your body gets into this heightened sense of awareness. And maybe the difference between a professional and somebody who's doing it for the first time is that with a professional, that mild anxiety really just puts you at the top of your game.
Oh yeah.
It does.
Like you're just ready,
ready to go.
Whatever you've been practicing, it just kind of flows out.
Yep. I definitely agree with that. Go ahead, Taylor.
So I've been doing dance since I was about 2 years old. And so you always had to go on stage to your recitals.
Yeah.
I still get nervous sometimes when I'm about to go on.
You do?
She's a very good dancer, and she loves to dance, and she loves to sing, and she's always ready to perform. She's always on. That's one thing that's going to really help you when you get into dance and stuff like that. She says, and so earlier, in fact, we were talking, and she told me she likes dancing and singing and stuff like that, and she also wanted to be a teacher. I said, well, you could also teach people how to sing and how to dance, and which
exactly
door to a lot of opportunities. But then I said, since you know business and we go through the financial flashcards and stuff like that, I said you could also own the business. So you could be the owner, the teacher, and the dancer and the singer and do whatever you want. And I think that's like a great model, for entertainment, because we have so many Black folks that go into entertainment, and we know the part about the singing and the dancing, but we don't always understand the other levels of it, the other important parts to it.
Of being an owner, or that when you're teaching, you don't only have to be an employee to be a teacher, you can be a paid professional speaker. So you can actually take all the knowledge that you're getting from owning a dance studio and all of your entertainment and everything that you're going to be doing, Taylor. And what happens is that's known as you're starting to build something called intellectual capital. That is, you got something up here that's worth a lot of money, and then you get to charge people for that also because they want to learn from you too. So even right now, you may not realize it, but if you're so outgoing and you got that personality and you really like talking to people, hey, one of these days we might be getting in on a webinar for you where you're teaching people how to do some things also.
That's a great point. I talked to a rapper the other day, actually, in a phone conversation. He calls me every few months we just talk business and stuff like that. And it's hilarious because he's a very good artist, and I won't say his name because I don't want to put his business out there, but it's funny because he actually makes more money as a public speaker than he ever made in music. His revenue does not come from the music is how he advertises himself. And then what happens is he ends up getting these speaking opportunities because because of the messages in his music, and
that's
so
right.
He strategically considers what kinds of music he wants to put out to appeal to specific demographics, which allows him to connect to organizations and whatever that will bring him in as a speaker. So it's funny that you talk about that. When you know how to really monetize, you understand business, you can figure out different ways to put the puzzle pieces together.
Absolutely. And I'm not surprised. He's not the only person in the entertainment industry that I hear that from, or that I've heard that about, I should say. So that's not surprising at all. There's a great deal of money to be made when you know how to teach somebody how to do something. You're saving them time, money, energy, and all those things are scarce resources. We only got a short amount of them. We only got a short amount of time, a limited amount of money, a limited amount of energy. And so when you can teach somebody how to do something, you're really cutting into that time, saving them money, saving them energy. And what happens is that people are willing to pay top dollar for that, because it's very profitable for them also, and it's transformative. You help them to transform their lives.
All right. Well, I think that's a great point. And so, Taylor, let's ask one more question. and then me and Al are going to go a little deeper into the conversation. Go ahead, Tay. What's your last question, sweetie?
How did you learn all the stuff that you teach about?
How did I learn all of the things that I teach about? Okay, so what we call that is, and I'll start teaching you about the speaking industry since we're talking about that. So you mean, where did I get my areas of credible expertise? That means I'm an expert in certain areas that I want to teach people about, but I have credibility in those areas also. That means I can prove that I have that type of expertise. So a lot of it I learned from training. From I used to be an executive chef. And so when I first started teaching soft skills to young people, students your age, and young professionals, what happened is I was starting to teach some of the same things that were taught to me also. And so a lot of what I teach, I learned experientially, but I also learned from taking other training courses and things of that nature. And I learned the most, believe it or not, I'm gonna drop something on you. Here's a Duncan nugget for you, okay? You actually learn more by teaching. Okay, you learn more by teaching than you, believe it or not. You learn when you have to break down something, and like you're asking me a question, I have to explain it to you. You actually begin to learn the nuances and really how to do it. Like, you ever teach somebody how to do a dance before? Have you ever taught somebody how to do a dance? You have? Yeah, I figured that. And so when you're teaching them how to do the dance, you know how you got to do it one tiny little step at a time, whereas for you, it might be easy already because you know how to do it. Now you got to take your time, really break it down for them. And so a lot of the stuff that I'm teaching about the professional speaking industry, I've learned on my own. I've learned through trial and error. I learned through working and networking with other successful speakers. And I learned a lot by training other speakers on how to become successful in their careers and in their businesses as well. And so what happened is that forced me to come up with something that's called a framework. That is, when you have a step-by-step system for teaching somebody something so that it is simple for them and they can understand it. So that's what I would say. I learned a lot by paying attention when I was being taught. Notice I didn't say I always paid attention to school. I'll just tell you the truth. I should have. I might not have been like you, but I always paid attention when I was being taught something by someone whose lifestyle or whose opinion I really valued. So I paid attention to him or her, and I also learned a lot by teaching other people as well.
All right.
Does that answer your question?
Very
okay.
Good.
Very cool.
Everybody, please give Miss Taylor a digital round of applause and tell her that she did a great job, and I was very proud of her. Good job.
Absolutely.
Oh, way to go. You did.
I love it.
So I will bring you back soon. So go hang out, and I'll be up in a little bit, okay? All right. See you later. Thank you.
Right. I love it.
Yeah, she did great. That's what I love. It's that, when you talk about kids, sometimes you get kids that don't want to be involved at all with what you're doing as an adult, and you try to get them into. You try to let them know, like, hey, this is really good stuff. This is going to make a difference for you in your life. But some kids don't see it, whereas you have the other kids that just love it and embrace it. And
you got to jump on it.
I kid y'all not. I had 10 minutes ago, I had no idea she wanted to be in the interview, and she
that's
said,
nice.
So we might tell a child no if they want to help, and I had no idea what those questions were going to be.
Right.
And that's a good question. So
I thought she did.
Yeah, and maybe you can kind of speak to this a little bit. I know it's a slight deviation from the core topic, but I think it's relevant, with us as parents. How important do you think that is in terms of, giving your kids that head start where they're learning about things 20 years in advance that a lot of people, like a lot of the things that we talk to the children about when it comes to wealth, like we use the financial flashcards. These are concepts I did not learn until I was in my 20s.
Right.
I was a finance major. What do you think about that in terms of the difference that makes?
So I think that timing is everything. And so you never know when the opportunity is going to strike. And I also think that skills kind of grow exponentially when you have a chance to apply them over a longer period in your life. So there is no substitute for getting a young person started earlier on whatever it is that they are working on, whatever passion, whatever skill, their curiosity, all of this right there. There's no substitute for that. I'm like that with my sons all all the time. I don't play that stuff because I tell them there's another Duncan nugget. It's easier to prepare them now than it is to repair them later. So let's get. I'm all for any opportunity that presents itself where they can learn earlier, but more than just learning about it. See, and here's what the difference is. What you just did, Boyce, is one thing to say, "Hey, let me show you what I do for a living," and saying, "No, come participate with me in what I do for a living," which is what you just did, and that's experiential learning. And so when they get to learn like that, it's even different because more than just the skill, and the skill is extremely important, but what also happens is it's that level of reinforcing her self-confidence and seeing how it feels. And the emotional memories that you're building, they'll never disappear. And they'll be there long later. So when she's sitting in her first interview for a job and she's trying to understand, her friends are so nervous, they don't know how to handle it. But she's sitting in there in an interview for a prestigious college or, for a gig. And she's like, yeah, I'm nervous, but I got this. And she might not even be sure why she got this. But you remember the night she jumped on and started asking questions and wasn't afraid to speak her mind. And so I'm with you, man. Anytime you can give a young person a chance to not only just learn about something and be exposed to it, but also be able to participate in it, that's life-changing, And that's actually why when I started in the industry, I started in the youth market anyway. And that's one of the main reasons why.
All right, well, everybody, I'm speaking to Mr. Al Duncan. Al Duncan is a professional speaker who has done you've probably done over 1,000 speeches by now, right?
Oh yeah, I got to be somewhere. I stopped counting, but I would venture to say around 1,500 paid speaking engagements, somewhere around there, man.
So Al is he's the most experienced speaker that I know. In terms of somebody who built his career. It wasn't like somebody just, put him on TV and made him famous. He literally built his speaking career from scratch. And we're talking about ways to make it as a professional speaker. Also, everybody who's watching on YouTube or anywhere else, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button. If you haven't done that, please hit the thumbs up button. And Ross World, I would like for you to know that I do see you. I see your remarks about wanting to help out on the channel. Send a message, send your bio over to manager@boycewatkins.com. That's manager@boycewatkins.com. And let us know what you can do. And maybe there's a way we can support each other, man. I want to see you do well, brother. I want to support you. All right. So here's let's dig a little deeper then. Okay. So, as a speaker yourself, what made you become a speaker? How did that happen for you?
Man, it's funny because I can't even say I looked up one day and said, oh, I want to be a professional speaker. That's not quite what happened. What happened is I was working on presentation skills, selling skills, and other soft skills that I thought would help me be more successful. I was a chef at the time. I was raising my youngest brother. He was 12 years old at the time. He and I had moved from Philly to Atlanta, Georgia. I was 24. He was 12. And, I just popped up to Atlanta. I was like, we got to get him up out of the city. I was a knucklehead at the time. So was he. And I didn't like where things were headed. So, we moved to Atlanta. I ended up becoming an executive chef. And I'm managing these restaurants, and I'm trying to build my skill set. But I'm also like, I don't want to do this restaurant thing because that was never my real passion. That was something I was doing to take care of my little brother and take care of myself when we got to Atlanta. And so while I was working on building my skill set, trying to work on my communication skills in particular, I remember one night I was at a Toastmasters club and they were giving out ribbons, for people who they thought did the best speech that night. It was no big contest or anything like that. Just, I was up giving a 7-minute talk and there's about, 15 or 20 people there or something. And so I gave my little talk, and that particular night, I was talking about my story, part of my story, and I was trying to craft it into a message that will help people out. And so at the end of that little talk, what happens is some woman comes up to me and says, you were great. Yeah, I think I'd like you to come talk to my students. How much do you charge? I was stunned. Right. I wasn't sure what to say because I didn't know what do you mean? You can get paid to come talk to somebody? So she says, how much do you charge? I wasn't sure what to do, but what I did is I practiced something that we teach all the time right now. I asked and I listened, and she said, how much do you charge? I said, well, how much do you pay? Right. And she started laughing. Right. And she started laughing and she said, we pay speakers pretty good. She said, how about $1,800? What? Yes. Where is it? When is it? I am coming. I will be there. So I like hit gold out of the blue and didn't even realize this could happen, you know. And so a few weeks later, I mean literally a few weeks later, I was like, I'm never working in this kitchen again. That's it. I'm out of here. I got I got a plan B. I'm like, yeah, my plan B is bye. Right. I'm out of here. Now it's funny because here's the crazy part. This is where I learned a very harsh lesson. That is, you can't confuse luck or serendipity with having a process that's really profitable. So I thought that because this one woman loved me and she gave me $1,800, I was like, shoot, you crazy, man. I give me like 100 more of these this year. I'm good. Like I only got to work 100 days this year. That'd be almost $200,000. I like this is going to be great. The problem is that I had no process. I didn't understand the industry. I didn't have a website at that point in time. So needless to say, I walked away from my gig, but my day job. But I had a very difficult time ever getting another speaking engagement for the whole next year because I had no process. I had some pieces of the puzzle. That is, I had a pretty good skill set in front of the room that I had developed. I had a lot of charisma, which is not always necessary, but I just happened to be, I had that. And I thought that I was going to be able to just kill it, in the market. And it was a harsh lesson to be learned. I would never advise anybody to do that. Nowadays, I always tell people, listen, you got a day job or you got a gig. Keep your gig if you can, if it's not killing you or you don't hate it that much, hold on to it and build your business at the same time so that you can do things the right way and not out of desperation. But man, that's kind of how I got thrown in the fire into becoming a professional speaker.
Man, that you just told a great story. It's funny how everybody who does anything like this always has a really interesting story about how they stumbled into something, or good or bad, went through some things. Man, it's a funny thing. I'll say that speaking was fascinating to me. That because I saw the potential that it had for helping me to get off the plantation. I had a really good plantation. Massa was pretty good to me in terms of pay. When I was at Syracuse University, I was making over $100,000 a year, and but the thing was, I just didn't like the job. I didn't like the situation. It just didn't feel comfortable for me. Here's so every year, there would always be this big argument in the department over who was going to get the biggest raise. Where you're going to get a 1% raise, a 2% raise, a 3%, and all that. And so let's say you make $100,000 a year, or 115, whatever I was making at the time. A 2% raise is about $2,500 or something like that, right? And so I remember doing my first couple of speaking gigs. And I was like, wait a minute, you're making this much money just for talking for 20, 30 minutes?
Yeah.
And so I would make as much money in 20 or 30 minutes that I was going to get for a raise for a whole year.
Right.
And I remember going to my department chairman and I said, you know what, I'm just going to do a favor for you and you just owe me one. Don't worry about when you're giving out raises, don't worry about giving one to me. Just give one to everybody else, and then I'll just call in a favor later on. That's what my thought was, because the truth was I was like, I don't really have to argue with people over $2,000 anymore, because I know I make $1,000 somewhere else. And so I found that this whole industry, it's really fascinating how a lot of these organizations are prepared to write big checks for almost nothing. And the key idea seems is knowing how to position yourself in the right way where you fulfill the needs and expectations. And so let me ask you this. So as you got started with speaking, and I know you teach a great pro speakers. And by the way, everybody, the URL, actually Al's doing a webinar pretty soon with my brother Lawrence on how to get started in the speaking industry. The website, I'm gonna give you guys a URL. It's greatprospeakers.com/webinar. Greatprospeakers.com/webinar. Somebody please put that in. Greatprospeakers.com/webinar. So when you were trying to figure out the game, the difference with you versus everybody else is I know a whole lot of smart people who could give great speeches. Some of whom could give great speeches. I know a lot of smart people who get a few gigs here and there every now and then. But you are one of the people I've ever seen that just seem to always have an opportunity. And it's not because, it's not because you hosted a show on CNN and you're just so famous that they're just calling, blowing your phone up. It's because you have a process where you're able to really make that system work for you. How did you get to that point? Or well, I know it's hard to summarize it in a quick answer, but can you give some bullet
No,
points?
actually, it's easier to summarize than you think it is. What it is that after I got tired of chasing my tail and I started understanding that I was going to need some help in the industry and really let me take my time and understand what's going on about a process. And I had the difference between that is the difference between being a chef and a restaurant owner. See, when I first got in the industry, I was thinking more like a chef. But thankfully, because I have been managing restaurants, I understood how businesses worked. And I started realizing, no. It's not so much the cooking, because I've seen restaurants with people lining up, coming back and forth in there, and the food is just average. Like it's not even that good. It's okay, but it ain't great. But and the reason they're coming in there is because it's more of it's approached as a business and a process. So what happened for me is that I realized that I needed to find somebody who I can learn from. Okay. And we teach this right now. So we call it the success cycle. It's real simple. Get somebody I can learn from. In other words, I had to learn how to model greatness. I needed some people who were doing the business in a similar fashion to the way I thought I wanted to do it. I needed to be able to look at them, whether from the outside or inside, and figure out what they were doing that worked. Then I needed to actually go do it. Now, that's where people fall off all the time. I can't tell you how many times, and it used to happen to me all the time when I was young, somebody tells you to go do something, but you don't do it. Or you don't do it the way he or she said to do it first. That doesn't mean you don't adjust it or that you don't change it so that it fits for you. But if someone is giving you some advice about how to launch or run something, you got to give it a shot, because you're going to learn more by actually doing it, even if it's not quite right for you, than you would if you didn't do anything at all. And so I started when I was reading books on the industry, or I started paying for classes. There's something else. Nobody's going to give you anything for free. I understood that also from running restaurants. I could want to cook a great meal. I got to pay somebody for the raw ingredients though. Somebody got to bring me some stuff to the kitchen so I can cook with. All right. And so I was not adverse to saying I'm going to pay for the information that I want. I just want to make sure it's from a good source. And so I learned to model greatness. I got things that they said were working. I used them, and we like to call that deliberate practice right now. That is, I deliberately did what I thought was going to work. If it didn't work, it didn't work. That's okay. I can cross it off the list and keep working and tweaking it. And then what I did is I got real feedback and coaching based on the moves that I made. So it's not that, oh, Al, you were great, man. That was a hand clap, standing ovation. See, all that stuff makes you feel good. There's nothing wrong with that. We all want that. But what I needed was real tangible feedback to say, okay, Al, that was cool, but you forgot to mention your product on stage. Or that was cool, but you forgot to ask for some referrals. Or that was cool, but you didn't really deliver your points 1, 2, 3, and then give it to them in a neat, nice little package at the end of the talk so that they could take it home with them and pass it along to somebody else as well. And so what happened is when I started making my way through this process, and the funny, I didn't know this process step by step back then. I just realized when I look back on it, I was the type of guy, if you told me to do this, I was going to do it. And I was going to keep flipping it, working with it, tweaking it until I figured out why it worked. Because if it worked for you, I figured some version of it should work for me, at least a little bit. It might not work exactly the same. I understand that, especially because some of the people I was learning from, we wasn't even the same. You feel what I'm saying? So I knew it wasn't going to work exactly like it might work for other folks, but I knew you're not going to tell me that this thing can't work in some shape, form, or fashion. And so I tried many aspects of the industry, and I actually applied what I was learning.
Well, let me ask you this. I'm gonna tell you something, and then I'm gonna ask you a question related to it. And by the way, I'm talking to Al Duncan, everybody, from RedCrowSpeakers.com. And the URL for his webinar that he's doing on how to become a public speaker is actually in the feed, so you guys can pick it up. But okay, so we did a survey with people that are in the Black Business School, and also I surveyed people on my YouTube channel as well, just to verify the results. And you're talking about a few 100,000 people in the Black Business School. In case you guys haven't joined, you should join. And I asked them, I said, what do you think is more important for people like us? melanated people in America? Is it more important to have a college degree, or do you think it was more important to learn how to start a business, or some sort of business system or business process, to make money? Because I wasn't asking it to to shame any particular approach. It was to really just get where people's heads were at. And I know that I went to college so I can learn how to make money. If there was no money attached to it, I wouldn't have gone. I would have did something else, right?
Absolutely.
So the fascinating result of the survey, man, was that 91% of the people said it's more important for people like us to learn how to make money, to learn how to start businesses. And I thought that was really powerful. I didn't expect it to be 91%. And once again, to everybody who's a loyalist to our college, I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. Knowledge is, we know this, and college is great. But I think I think of it like a horse and a cart situation. I see a college degree as the cart, the learning how to start businesses and learning how to invest, things like that. That's the horse. But now, if you're trying to get down the road, you can get down the road if you have a horse with no cart. But you can't move anywhere if you have a cart with no horse.
You ain't going nowhere.
Right. And if you're sitting in the cart, you're waiting for somebody with a horse to pull you down the road, right?
That's right.
And that's what happens with a lot of us. We get this degree. We say, hey, I got this piece of paper. Can somebody give me a job so I can practice doing whatever this piece of paper says I'm qualified to do? Can I manage your business? I study business management. I don't have a business, don't know how to create one. So I'm looking for somebody with
right.
let me come manage that business, right? So I got the cart. I just need y'all to give me a horse. Well, and the problem is when other people are providing the horses, their horses are going to take you as far as they decide you're going to go, as fast as they decide you're going to go, and in the direction that they decide you're going to go. You have no say in that because you have the cart with no horse. So if I had a choice, I'd rather have the horse with no cart than have the cart with no horse. But ultimately, maybe having a horse and a cart is ideal, right? Now, with that said, you obviously didn't just jump in and magically become this extraordinary speaker who's made well over $1 million as a speaker. It didn't just happen because you just were like born with like a basketball player who's born 6'9" with all these amazing skills or whatever. Like you had to learn this. You had to invest in learning the systems that would allow you to build this business that you have now. If you had to guess approximately how much you had to invest financially to learn these skills, to get access to the gurus and to learn from people who can do what you can do now, what did that cost you approximately over time?
Man, so over 18 years, man, I would bet I've spent, I don't know, $250,000 easy. Maybe even 275,000. I'm talking about, and understand what I mean. I'm talking about paying for a $20,000 master class here, paying for somebody's program here, paying $1,000 for this set of tapes, and paying another $1,500 for this home study course and things of that nature. And then I had to go learn marketing and content marketing, internet marketing and things of this nature. And then included in that money is the money that I wasted on stuff that was garbage. That ended up not working or not being real because the person who sold it to me wasn't even doing what they said they were doing. They just heard it from somewhere else and tried to repackage it and give it to me, And so it is easy to say that I am over 18 years. I would say I'm pretty sure. I don't have an exact number, but it wouldn't surprise me if I spent $250,000. And the reason that doesn't bother me at all is because I recouped such a crazy investment on that, and it wasn't in the form of student loans or nothing like that I got to pay back. That thing has by far paid for itself over and over and over and over again easily. And I would gladly pay it again, but I would even be smart enough to know now that number doesn't even have to be that high, because obviously I would be a little bit smarter about what I needed to pay for, and whose mastermind or whose class or whose coaching thing I need to be a part of. I would be very careful about that, and so I spent a good chunk of change, man. And I don't look at it as a change, as a spending. It's an investment and it was well worth it. And I'm still, and the reason that number is high is because obviously at the beginning, here's the crazy part. At the beginning, I wish I could have spent that because I'd be worth 10 times what I'm worth now. But at the beginning, I could only spend what I had. So if I had $25 to go buy a $25 book, that's what I was going to buy. And the funny thing is, that might have been 100% of what I had. So, but whereas nowadays, you got me. Whereas nowadays, I can say, okay, let me go take this class. It costs 15 grand or 20 grand or something, and that's a different part of my income, if you understand what I'm saying. But before, I was willing to give it all. Like you can have $25. It's my last $25. You can have it because I believe that this is going to help me generate way, way more. And so I felt like it was worth it, you know, at that point in time. And today I feel like it was even worth it even more.
Yeah. And the reason I asked that question, I'm speaking to Al Duncan, by the way, from greatprospeakers.com. And, you know, the reason I asked that question is because when you talk about learning and knowledge, and you know, I'm a college professor by trade. That's what, you know, that's what I was trained to do. I think that sometimes we have to really sit back and really think about what is the end goal. You know, actually, I also as a mathematician, there's this concept called dynamic optimization, which means that you solve a problem better by starting at the end goal and working backwards than you do by just moving forward. Because if you move forward, you're going to be tempted to just do what other people do and just follow the crowd. Whereas when you work backward from where you're trying to get to, you sometimes come up with a unique solution that works specifically for you. So if you look at the solution or the goal that most Black folks have, their goal is, okay, I got to get some money. I got to improve my life.
That's right.
Freedom, and finances is an important part of that freedom. Right. And so if you're thinking that way, you know, you know that you need knowledge, you need education, you need skill, right? I want to, you know, make money as a speaker or author or whatever it is I'm trying to do. Well, where am I going to get that knowledge and that skill? And where am I going to get it at a price that makes sense, or that is the most efficient price?
Right.
Well, when you do that backward induction and you're trying to say get into that status of making hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe millions of dollars, college education isn't always the optimal approach because it's very expensive. You know, you're gonna drop 200,000 maybe of your family wealth, you know, getting that.
Yes.
And then also the skill sets that you pick up are not always applicable to the things that you ultimately want to accomplish.
Exactly.
You know, it is a good training program to prepare you for a job typically, but it's not a preparer for where the big money is. You know, where the scaled up money is, you know.
That's right.
The scaled up money tends to come to people who make their money not through labor, but through systems, which is developing your system, how important that was. And the scaled up money just kind of seems to come to people that that are really centered on concepts like investing and ownership and you know, and brand building, as opposed to you know, I'm going to just, you know, go get a job somewhere. So long story short, I think that when I process, you know, when I'm asking you that series of questions, like how much did it cost you? What did you? I want people to compare, you know, these investments that you mentioned that you made, that we make to get a college degree, and I would ask you in hindsight, how would you compare your journey to? I don't even know if you went to college. I did.
I went to Carnegie Mellon University, and I left early because I got a record deal. I went to become a professional saxophone player. I was on tour, making six figures in the industry, you know. And so I ended up leaving school early. And when I went to go back to get back into my learning after I messed up my money and all that stuff in the speaking industry, I mean in the music industry, and that's it's a side note. You know, people always think if I got a whole lot of money, that's going to solve all my problems. And I said, no, it's not. Money is a tool. It just makes you more what you are. Whatever you've been doing, I give you a stack of money, you're going to keep doing more of that. You know, if you're an idiot and I give you a big stack of money, that make you a rich idiot. That's all that happened right there. You understand what I'm saying? So that's where I was on that. And so when I look at the money I could have spent in college, and I spent some, but not as much as a lot of people have, and as not as much as I probably would have if I wasn't chasing dreams, you know, going to get a Grammy or something like that as a saxophone player. Then I don't think it would have. And this is hindsight. I'm guessing. I don't know for sure because you never know. But I don't feel like I would have got the same return on my investment based on what I would have tried to study in school. And the problem is that when I pay for courses, I'm paying for courses that teach me how to make money. So they teach me how to set up processes. I'm talking about right now, today. When I spend money on something because I want to learn it, I know going in that more than likely, this is going to help me make more money than what I'm putting into this thing. This I already know from the beginning. I understand the value of the skill of learning how to take your money to learn something that's going to make your money make more money, or make it double, or turn into something else. And to nothing is guaranteed. So it's all, it's not a gamble, but nothing is guaranteed. It's just the odds of me recouping my funds are much higher because I'm focused on ownership and my money making money, and my time and my energy having more return on its investment, And so what happens is that I think the difference is that that type of money is so much more targeted from the very beginning. So your undergrad, I mean, how many times you hear about college students not talking about talk to them all the time, teach them all the time? How many people actually got a job in the degree that their undergrad was actually in it? They spend all that money for it. I run into people all the time, even in academia, that's like, nope, I'm in a totally unrelated field, or maybe it's kind of related, or maybe not, or I had to change majors a few different times. And so what happens is that you're getting in there, and this first $100,000 that you're spending is not very targeted. A lot of not for everybody. A lot of times it's not targeted. In other words, it's not very specific. I got to take these electives because they told me I had to take these in order to get a degree. I had to learn this because I want to do that. This wasn't. Oh, this is the main thing I'm interested in. This is the main thing that I think is going to help me make more money for my family right now, tomorrow. If I learn this course 3 days from now, I can take this and start making some money. I just feel like that's not the case. And by the time we get around to the real targeted knowledge, like graduate school, okay, now I'm taking only classes that I need so I can get a promotion at the plantation. Or you see what I'm saying? So now all of a sudden, as you've been taking this information where you were guided towards something that should give you a certain paying job, but not necessarily growing exponentially, all of a sudden you're trying to rectify that or fix it by now taking very specific classes that relate to something that you want to do or that you think is going to help you make more money. And my thing always is just, for me, fortunately, what happened is once I got in a place where I wanted to start spending money on the business, the money I was spending was very specific already. So I was almost at graduate level, quote unquote, graduate level courses, or a graduate level of specificity in what I wanted to learn. I wasn't just learning everything about all aspects of business. No, I was learning specifically about this part of the industry, about marketing for professional speakers, which means I had a much greater chance to recoup my money on that side of things and actually make it grow. Did you feel what I'm saying, Boyce?
Yeah. I think you're making a great point. And I want to let everybody know, make sure, for those who just came in, I'm speaking to Mr. Al Duncan, and we're talking about, becoming a professional speaker, life as a professional speaker. Al's given about 1,500 speeches and made a ton of money as a speaker. I've given my share of speeches through the years, quite a few. And so if you want to actually join Al's webinar, he's doing a free webinar, I think later on this week. Is that right?
Yeah, May the 10th. That's right. Friday.
Friday, May 10th. You can go to greatprospeakers.com/webinar. That's greatprospeakers.com/webinar. You guys may not know this, but my brother Lawrence actually runs Great Black Speakers, which is the largest Black-owned speakers bureau in the country. Also, Al partners with Lawrence with Great Pro Speakers, and they give all kinds of training to people that want to be speakers, influencers, business owners, etc. I love popping in because I've got my experience and everything, and I love adding to it. But I really defer to these guys because Al's got to figure it out. Al understands the system. And everybody, please hit the thumbs up button. If you haven't hit the thumbs up button, please do that. And also, I want to ask everybody a question. If you went to college, yes or no, tell me, did you get a profession that uses your college degree? Yes or no? How many of you are working in
Yeah,
that
let's find out.
with the degree that you or the topic you studied in school? You know, and as the answers pour in, I'm going to say that from what I have seen, a lot of people, you know, went to college, spent a lot of money, went into a lot of debt, and ended up in a field completely different from
Yeah.
what they studied. And it doesn't mean college is bad. It just means that college is this interesting. It's this very interesting. In economics we call that like a luxury item. A luxury item is something that you pay for if you got money to burn. You know, so something can either be a luxury item or it could be an asset where you get a positive return on investment. A luxury item, you don't get a positive return on investment. You just
Right.
making it rain because you got the money to burn. And actually children, for example, having children 150 years ago, when a lot of people had farms and the children could actually add labor to the family, a child was not a luxury item. You know, a child was actually
Right.
a laborer that added wealth to the household because that person could, you know, when they're 8 years old, 10 years old, go out in the fields and work. So you have more children because you wanted your family economic system to function more effectively. Now children have become a luxury item. You know, you have kids if you can afford them. The average cost of a child is about $250,000, et cetera. Well, college is interesting as well in the sense that there are some cases where if college investing is done in an efficient way, it can become an asset, right? Just like any investment. You know, I put out a certain amount of money, I get a return on investment, I'm good. But for some people, it becomes a luxury item, right? I just tricked off $200,000 of my family wealth so I could spend 4 years, you know, partying,
Right.
go barking at fraternity parties or whatever, ski win, get ready for step shows, you know, all of that.
Yeah.
And I think the reason that and it's funny, right? So you would say, you know, when you look at Black folks, we have to be thoughtful about how we perceive this, because when you talk about luxury items, you know, the question becomes, you know, is the African American community positioned to have a $200,000 luxury item? You know, are we positioned? I mean, we're getting, you know, you hear all the rhetoric about Black wealth going to zero and Black folks struggling and Black wealth is just 1/10 of white wealth and things like that. So that says to me that we don't necessarily have that money to burn. You know, just make it rain. We have to be thoughtful about our economic decisions. So the question becomes, you know, what is it that drives us to spend $200,000 when most of us, or $150,000, whatever you spend to go to college, when most of us would think you were crazy. If I said, hey, give me $150,000 for nothing, you know, you give me 150 grand of your family wealth, and you can pay me. We got a payment plan. You just give me, just give me 15% of your paycheck for the next 40 years, and I'll give you a worthless, seemingly worthless piece of paper, right? You know, like most people say, you out of your damn mind. But what drives us to do that? You know, what puts us in that category where we've got this piece of paper and we got all this debt to go with it, and we wish we could give it back, some of us. How do you get there? Well, the way you get there is twofold, I have found. One is when you're living your life on autopilot and you're not thinking about what your goal is, right? You're not doing that dynamic optimization I talked about before, where you're looking at where the goal is and the best way to get there. You're just like, okay, well, I'm 18. Everybody says I should go to college, so I'm gonna go to college, right? That's the first thing. Second thing is it's the easy availability of student loans. When you sign that piece of paper and they write that check for you, it's not real money. The money ain't real at that point. That's how people get into debt. It's not real money. Or you get a credit card. Anybody remember that when you got your first credit card, you was 18 and you felt like
I do.
Free? You know?
I definitely do, man.
Man, everything. When I got my first credit card, everything was free.
That's
you know,
right.
Then I learned later it ain't free, but you don't feel it when you get the card. You know,
right.
So I think that you know, for us, I think we have to really process, you know, what those next moves should be and how to really get to where we want to get to. And I made that statement without even framing it as a question. But I kind of wanted to get your take on that in terms of your philosophy and ideology when it comes to, if I'm 18 years old or 20 years old or 25, and I'm trying to figure out how to get ahead. I'm trying to figure out how to get free, how to have some money, how to get into the speaking industry. How do I think about, you know, where to invest my cash and where to put my valuable time in order to do that?
So well, a couple of things. Number one, speaking industry is a great way for you to recoup or make your money back if you've been spending on college. Because if you were there and you actually paid attention, if you actually learned anything or you got any skills, and what we're talking about is being able to take your expertise and transform that into cash. Take some of these things that you've been using, working on with other people or for other people while you're building someone else's dream, and let's use this to start working on your own, so that you can begin transforming some lives and the lives of people that are closest to you. That's one thing. The other thing is that, you know, I'm always careful because people's situation are so unique. And when I'm talking to young people in particular, I'm careful. So what happens is that if you're a young person and you have a decent amount of grants and your college is not about to put you in debt, you like your mom's not taking out 5 student loans, you know, parent student loans for you, and you're not trying to go to some school that costs $30,000 a year that you know you can't afford to go to anyway, that you're going to just go over there to party. But if you're saying, okay, look, I want to get a job, but I'm not sure what else to do. There's nobody else positive in my life. I don't know how to meet new people, how to meet more successful people. You know what? Then and you're thinking that college or a community college or a college that you can afford or a technical program or a vocational program or something like that is going to help you get some of that. So then what happens is, for you, I'm always careful about people because I'm not there with you. Dr. Watkins is not there with you every day, and you do need to find a way to network with and get mentors and meet people. So if that seems like this might be an option for you, you know what, then I can understand that. My thing is what I'm telling you right now is that, but don't put all your money over there. I'm just saying, man, you're spending money on all kind of perishable items. I don't care if it's a phone that costs $1,000, or, you know, if you're paying for your Netflix subscription, you know, whatever it is 12, whatever it is per month. All of these things right here can also be spent towards you working on learning how to make your money and your intellectual capital work for you. And so there are programs, there's free webinars. Why aren't you part of the Black Business School? You should be. Like, if you got a Netflix subscription, then there's some course on the Black Business School that you can take. If you got a Netflix subscription, then guess what? You can afford to come take the Great Pro Speakers webinar on Friday and get started with us. If you got a Netflix subscription, if you got cable, I don't even want to go there. We could do this thing for 2 or 3 years now. Okay, so that you're not only, I just feel like even if somebody's in your ear and people are telling you you need to go to college, I'm just saying, let's not have that be the only source or of knowledge or information or guidance that you're getting. Let's make sure you're getting some from people who look like you, and let's make sure you're getting some that's not just directed towards making you an employee, but something that's making you an employer also on top of that. And that's a step I feel like any young person, any professional, regardless of your age, those are some things you can choose to do on your own. So that's kind of where I am with the whole thing, Boyce. You know, I'm just careful. And the reason I'm careful about this is because I made the mistake of saying to somebody one time, man, I don't know if that college thing, man, I don't know if I had to redo it if I was spending money. And this knucklehead dude took that as, okay, well, I ain't going to school then. You know, school's a waste. Listen, bro, that's not what I was saying to you. I'm not trying to tell you, like, once you graduate from high school, or that if you're in college, all of a sudden you need to be like, nope, this ain't for me. I'm done. I ain't going to do nothing. You're missing what we're saying here. What we're saying is that there is a better way to look at, invest, and use your money, your time, and your resources on top of exploring the college option, which may not be the best option, but that doesn't mean that you run and do nothing, you know?
Right. And I think that's an important subtlety that I have to, you know, I find myself really having to reiterate that because people just kind of, I always tell people my platform's for intelligent Black people. And I really honestly say that because because I really need you to think carefully. You got to be a thinker to understand what I'm really trying to say. Because if you think in one-dimensional frameworks, the way a lot of our society operates, you're going to get it wrong. You know, like, for example, I have a lot of people that say, Dr. Boyce Watkins out here telling Black people not to vote. You know, and I never said don't vote. I said, think about it before you vote.
Yeah.
You earn your vote, you know, and it's your right to do whatever you want to do. But I've never told people not to vote. But then the other thing is with college, I have people also that will say, that I've told people not to go to college. And I have never said don't go to college.
I didn't think you said that.
Right. I said think carefully about your investment, because that's going to be probably one of the biggest investments in your life that you make. There are a few decisions in your life that you'll make that are more impactful on your family's wealth legacy than whether you go to college, because you got a lot of people, millions of people in our community right now are going to die with negative or zero net worth, negative net worth, because they gave all their money to to those folks, these big universities that gave them a raw deal. It gave them as Dr. Claude Anderson refers to when he talks in Powernomics, and I got this book. I keep Powernomics right next to me, actually.
Mine not too far. Right there.
Right next to my heart. Yeah, but it's like a teddy bear, man. But one thing he refers to this concept is the doctrine of unequal exchange. And basically another way to look at it is what they also might call a trade deficit. That's what the whole fight is between Trump and China right now, is a trade deficit. All trade deficit and doctrinal unequal exchange means is that you got a raw deal.
Right.
You made a deal with somebody, you thought that you were exchanging equal value, and you for this much value, they were giving you that much value, because they were playing chess and you were playing checkers. They figured out the game and they tricked you. Right. What I really want people to understand is that in life, you want to figure out the games that you're entering into so you can flip the script a little bit, so you can be the smart one. There's no point in going through life being mad at people that are successful, mad at people that have wealth. I'm sure you've dealt with that, Al, where people are mad at you because you figured out a way to get ahead all
the time.
Right.
Why you pissed off at me, man? I
didn't do nothing but win. Right. I'm holding the trophy, man. Like I want everybody to hold the trophy, right? So what I encourage people to do is learn from the experts so that you can figure out how to make the game flip in your favor. So one, I think, very favorable flip is when I'm looking at, people like yourself that offer, training for people that want to become speakers or trainers or teachers or whatever it is people want to do. And I know you guys, when you have programs, they don't cost that much. They literally cost about as much money as people spend on fast food and shoes and things like that.
Exactly.
So that to me is a wonderful flip, because here I can make this investment that is not going to be much more than I spent, over time, on my car notes or whatever. But I can actually position myself with an economic system around me that allows me to make money at a higher level. Because it seems like if you work the game in the right way, whether it's speaking or really any business, if you obsess yourself with it and find your right niche and find your comfort zone and hit the target on the bullseye, it can literally blow your monthly income into the stratosphere. Can you guys do that in terms of just like, did you ever have a moment like that? I did, where you got out here and you got around people that were really making like real money.
Yeah.
And you never saw that. Like me growing up as a black kid, I never saw that. And you were like, oh my God, I did not know that this much money was out here. Have you ever felt that way?
Yeah, the first time one of my mentors in the industry called me about, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago, 16 years, I don't know the exact day they call. Anyway, he calls me laughing. He said, Al, how you doing, man? Your business going good? I'm like, oh yeah, man, I'm doing good. I think I might hit 100 gigs this year. So, I'm excited because I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, I'm going to definitely crack 6 figures this year. I'm going to make good money. He's like, let me show you a trick, man. I'm going to make 6 figures in an hour. I said, what? I said, what are you talking about, man? He said, watch this. He said, so he pulls up the thing. He's got a new course he just set up. It's some mastermind, and he's going to put it on his website. And this is what I didn't understand, the power of owning and having your own audiences is one of the things we teach people about, making sure that you own and build your own audience, not just are only using someone else's, but build and maintain your own. So he's like, watch this. I'm going to send this out to my mailing list, right? And watch what happens. He sends the thing out to his mailing list. He's got the computer screen up. I'm watching the thing. He says, I got a new mastermind that's starting. I'm only taking 10 people. It's $10,000 for the year. 30 minutes later, 10 people signed up. Money started coming through. 100 grand. And he's sitting there laughing. And, he thinks the whole thing is funny. So he's laughing at me. He said, you see, man? He said, wow. The money is there. The question is, people going to spend the money. The question is, will they spend it on you? But they're going to spend it.
And you know what's funny, man? I used to be one of those people that used to think, man, who are these suckers? These people.
Yeah.
Why would you pay $10,000 for a mastermind? That don't even make no sense. They suckers, right?
Yeah.
And let me tell you what changed my mind on that. It was when I met Lamar Tyler. Lamar Tyler, who runs Black and Married with Kids, he is a religious investor in those $10,000, $5,000, $20,000 masterminds.
Yeah.
Really, again, if you compare it to the cost of college, it ain't nothing, because we got people out here spending 40 grand a year going to college. They just feel like they're spending it because it's all debt, but they're still spending. But Lamar was showing me all the things he learned, by spending that money. And I said, oh, I get it now. Oh, so you dropped 10 grand and you made $500,000.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good investment to me.
I'm trying to tell you.
And that's what people don't. I think people, they, when we, like, I think growing up, I was never really taught how to play the game above the rim like that.
Right.
I would just think you a sucker if you paying somebody that kind of money. But if you think about it, the reason that your mentor was able to charge 10 grand, for this mastermind or whatever, is because he figured out the secrets. He figured out the keys to expanding your income rapidly. So even if you didn't make, let's say you didn't make $500,000 from the $10,000 mastermind, let's say you only made 80,000.
Yeah.
That's an 800% return on investment, right? So I think that for us, I think we have to kind of, sort of just rethink that whole education thing, man. Because I'm gonna tell you, when I started learning about these gurus out here that are teaching people very specific things on how to make specific money, it really made me look back at my colleagues in academia. They got all the education, been reading the books for 10, 15 years. And I said, I think something's missing there. And I think something's missing there for my people, because my people don't really, we ain't really got time to be messing around with the theory. We need to learn how am I going to put some money in my bank account tomorrow? How am I going to put food in my refrigerator next week?
Absolutely.
That's what led me down that journey of saying we need to rethink Black education all the way across. Really, it's education, period. But because I just happen to be Black, I got the word Black.
Yeah.
Oh, my sure, I'm very, very Black. But my thought is we need to really rethink that, because our wealth is bleeding out profusely out of our community.
Crazy. It's so crazy. The brain drain is crazy, man. And that's one of the reasons I love the professional speaking industry, because it's, like I said, it's one of the ways. It's just one, but there's quite a few. But there is one of the main ways you can really get hold of your intellectual capital and make sure that you're reaping the most money, that you're recouping the most money off of it. And I don't think that's always the case. And matter of fact, before I forget, boys, I gotta tell you, man. Hold on, just real quick. Back to the story of my mentor. I gotta tell you the funny end to that story. So he's laughing, and he's ha ha ha. Look at that, he's all happy, and I know it's gonna be a great program. And so now he's like, so Al, what you think about that, man? You got any questions about that? I said, yeah. Can you get one more space in there? And you know what? I paid my $10,000. It was 11 people instead.
Wow.
Now think about that, because I was like, nah. First of all, no. I need to go over there because I want to find out what you did just now that just happened, because clearly I'm missing something, because I ain't got no mastermind like that. So I must be missing something, and I want it. But the other thing is, at that point in time, I was starting to think, like, I got to go get with these people who over here, in the middle of your day, boom, somebody says, I got something for you, is worth 10 grand. I think it can help you make another 6 figures more over the next course of the next year for you. And I'm only taking 10 of y'all, and 10 of them sign up in a half an hour. Let me go check y'all out. I don't know who I was going to see at this point in time. I was hoping some Black folks was going to be there. You know what I'm saying? I want to go see who these people are too, because I want to know, what are y'all doing, over here, that you got that kind of disposable income, that in the middle of your day, somebody sends out an email and says, hey, come take this course. It's 10 grand. It's going to help you make this much money. And half an hour later, you like, yeah, let me get that. So, I wanted to go find out what was going on. So now I'm showing up to this mastermind, and my thinking is expanding even more, but I'm at the mastermind. I am pissed off. I'm pissed off because I'm the only brother there. Of course, surprise, surprise, And so I'm not happy about that at all, because I'm like, look here, man. Ain't nobody up in this room smarter than some of the folks I know. I ain't trying to hear it. And when we talking about speaking, Listen, man, black folks, boy, we ain't no joke on the mic. I'm not trying to hear that. We got proud traditions of oratorical mastery
Mhm.
all over the place. So you're not gonna tell me I'm sitting up here and I'm seeing all of these jokers over here make money, but nobody I know, none of the preachers from around the way ain't over here. None of the professors are over here. None of the politicians, the aldermen, the professors. I mean, what is going on with the teachers? Hold on, I didn't seen them. You want to see a good speaker? Go watch an inner city school teacher that's good, that can keep a group of rough and rugged kids on the edge of their seats and really paying attention throughout the day. And
Oh,
so
and ain't nobody got nothing on the preachers, man.
on the preachers, this is what I'm saying. It's
It's like magic. I mean,
yes,
like a good. I will just sit in church in awe, listening to a pastor. Never really, from what I understand, got any speaking training or whatever. And I'll be sitting here and I'll be laughing to myself. I'll be
yeah.
like, this man got the audience jumping out of their seat and going crazy, and he ain't even said nothing. He
ain't said nothing.
45 minutes, and they just know they have it mastered. Preachers and rappers ain't that much different. They understand
Nope,
cadence and rhythm and all that.
that's right.
I'm admit I'm a cerebral person, so I'm not real good with, if you give an all flash with no substance. But I
Yeah.
thought, I said, okay, if you mix the substance with the flash,
Mm-hmm.
you got something that's very powerful, very explosive.
I agree. I definitely agree, man. And so that whole thing right there was, is one of the things, that was frustrating to me that day. And I was just like, man, I know I can get this thing. I know I can get this thing. I know I can go back and help train people in general. Because, I'm down with folks, but I'm down with my folks, man. Like, I ain't trying to hear that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't mind helping anybody out that's good to people like me. If you cool and you're okay, and I don't believe you got malicious intent or nothing, I'm okay with that. But at the same time, I am looking out for us, because I'm like, look here, man, I see what I see. I grew up around the church. Grandma's a pastor, dad's a preacher, and all this other stuff. And I see the comedians that's out struggling every day. The black comedians that's in the club every week, working on their craft and doing these things. And so I just know that there is a lot of money, and it can be a lot of stability in the industry if it's built correctly. And that's what me and Lawrence are really trying to teach people and give them over at Great Pro Speakers.
All right. Well, everybody, I'm going to let this brother get to his day, but I want you all to know how to connect with him. He is one of the great speaking experts in the industry. I can't think of anyone in the speaking industry that I respect more than Mr. Al Duncan. And I say that in front of him. He didn't even plan on me saying that.
I did, but the feeling is mutual, brother. The feeling is mutual, man.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you. Well, and I think that's important. I think it's great, for the community when people get to see black men working together to do what's right for our people, and to build and to protect and support each other and things like that. And ever since I've known Al, he's been a wonderful ally for the last decade. I think we've been friends about 10 years now. Is that right?
Yeah, at least, right? It's right around when Great Black Speakers first launched.
Oh man, well that was 06.
That's how long it's been.
I remember coming up with that concept, sitting on the couch with my brother. I remember, coming up with the name right there, and and the rest is history. So everybody, I want to encourage you, if you have a dream, stick with your dream, man. You don't know what you just came up with. When you can see something, the universe has handed you a seed. They've handed you a big bang that can open the doors to all kinds of possibilities. So let your universe expand. Don't kill your ideas before they come to fruition. You never know what you're sitting on. So everybody, if you want to go to Al's free webinar to get started as a speaker,
let me tell them what it is too. Let me tell them what it's going to be, boy. So it's this webinar that Lawrence Watkins and I are doing. It's called 5 Ways. Let me make sure I read it right. 5 Ways to Leverage Your Expertise and Break Through as a Paid Professional Speaker. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be breaking down this whole 5 pillars of professional speaking. That is, these are the 5 pillars that you need to build your business on, the 5 things you need, and they are branding, content, platform, monetization, and your operations. And whenever I look at somebody and say, I want to get started, these are the things that we're looking at now. This is the framework we've developed. We just finished one masterclass. 2 weeks ago, we finished a masterclass where we had speakers in there that was part of the whole Black Experts Empire. And we saw people breaking through. We saw them doing it. We saw by the end of the thing, I heard people getting online saying, oh yeah, I just got a gig. I'm happy. You know, I got my marketing message. My website is up. I'm starting to get some clarity on my business. And so we're real. What we are, we got the webinar, but everything we're going to break down for you is real hands-on. You know, we do a lot of what they call hot seats. That is, you get to ask us questions in real time. We answer them, show you how the model and the framework actually works. And so we're going to have a blast with you all. Make sure you tune in on Friday. That webinar is free. So make sure you come on over to greatprospeakers.com/webinar. Join me and Lawrence as we help you help you get your speaking business off the ground. Or if it's already off the ground and you want more gigs, tune in then too, because we got some stuff for you as well.
All right. So that's greatprospeakers.com/webinar. If you want to sign up, go sign up now and go, you can check these guys out and kind of hear what they have to say. And I can give you a testimonial and let you know that I've learned a lot from Al. And also that speaking is something I've done a lot of, and it's a great way to add extra income. Even if you're not a speaker that's doing a million gigs, the best thing I liked about it was, it was adding that extra 2,000 a month.
Yeah.
So that makes a difference. Now
it does.
To save money, you don't have to cut your budget now. Now you got that money that you can put aside. You put it towards your business, whatever you want to do, and plus it's just a lot of fun. That's another great thing about it. So everybody, please hit that thumbs up button before you go. A couple of quick reminders as you're hitting the thumbs up button. One, don't forget our podcast is on iTunes. So go to iTunes, search for my name. You can actually listen on iTunes. Also, if you want to go and get some books for your family, like Powernomics. You can actually go to drboycebooks.com. That's drboycebooks.com. and just as a reminder, we got my book Black American Money 3, which is coming out, and I'm super proud of that. I think it's a great read. But then again, I'm probably biased. And then also, if you live in Philadelphia, I'll be in Philadelphia May 19th. You can actually learn more about this full day seminar that I'm going to do on investing at drboycephiladelphia.com. That's drboycephiladelphia.com. We're also going to do a digital version of that same seminar over 7 weeks. So if you don't live in Philadelphia, you can actually go to drboyceseminars.com, drboyceseminars.com, and you can actually do the Philadelphia seminar, but we're going to spread it out over 7 weeks, 1 hour per week. And by the time by the time you're done, you'll know everything you need to know to be a crackpot investor.
That's crazy, man.
Ace investor. Crackpot investor sounds bad, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all get it.
We know what you mean, man.
So it's great talking to you, man. And as always, and thank you for so much wisdom, brother. It was a pleasure chopping it up with you.
My pleasure, man. Love what you do. Thanks for everything you do for all of us, man. We definitely appreciate that.
All right, my man. All right, guys. Well, take care, everybody. We will see you soon, and I'll see you soon now.
All right, take care, brother. Talk to you soon. Be safe, be well, be blessed.
I'll say it to you. All right.